So I was talking to you about this relationship I was in, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And it was very
anyway,
intense.
yeah, it was intense, and I was joking I was going to get married. Well, so we did.
You did?
Well, hold on. So this thing has been like roller coaster. So 3 days later, because I was hiding that I was smoking from her, 3 days later it ends.
Oh, wow. But she
Yeah,
discovered that you smoked.
yeah, she tasted it on me, and then that was it. I mean, I had kind of moved in, and then she kicked me out, and she wouldn't communicate, and so I'm kind of don't know where I'm at or how to go about, kind of between pursuing or just letting it go, or
And
I don't know.
did you get it annulled?
Well, another interesting thing is the certificate never got mailed in, so it's not actually a an official marriage. So just bizarre all over the place.
Oh, wow. What, so the people that you got married with or the registry office didn't complete the job?
Okay, so well, it was done. Okay, so we did the certificate, and then we went and did it in a church, and there were witnesses, and we signed off. And then they give you the whole certificate with the part you mail in, so you can get the application, and then you mail that in, and then they finalize it and send you your. So it never got mailed in, and she had possession of that, and she still does, and so,
Wow.
but yeah, just bizarre. And the whole time, the whole time this thing was going on, she was like back and forth, reluctant, not reluctant. Just, I think a lot of scared to death and all that kind of stuff. Just weird. And I don't know if you have any advice for me, but I'm just like,
How long
kind of,
ago
like
did
I
that
said,
happen?
that was about just a little over a week ago.
Oh,
So,
not long.
about, yeah, about 8 days ago. So it's been real painful.
Yeah.
Part of the pain has kind of showed me as I like feel like missing her a lot, then I might be able to identify it as really just seeking approval. You know what I mean? Even though I feel the pleasure of it, it also tells me a lot of it is like seeking approval.
It's from her.
You know, from her and maybe just people in general. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine there's um, like a lot of different things that are painful in that. Like
Yeah, there.
because she's cut off, that's quite dramatic when somebody cuts off from you. So you feel a little like up in the air. You don't know where you're at, confused. Like I'm sure there's different things, but predominantly, um, like what you're ultimately searching for on the deepest level is you're seeking to find love or to find
Yeah.
home or to find contentment. And I don't know if it was the case with her, but I can't remember what we discussed last time. But if you were using her to seek for love,
Well,
to seek for
all I know
home,
is, yeah, all I know is time together was just phenomenal and just real relaxed and natural and just lots of laughter and deep sharing and so just the ability to just be, right?
yeah,
But then when I was apart, there's this neediness. So we talked about this, but like needing to be text responded to, email responded back to, phone calls responded back to. We kind of talked about that stuff, but when we were together, just so rich and just so beautiful and you know,
yeah.
yeah.
And how long did you like? I mean, is it like a normal like needing response, or is it like you wanted it instantly, or is it that she didn't respond for like a couple of days each time or something?
Oh no, yeah, I wanted it instantly, and it was generally within a good time frame. I mean, if it was just a friend of mine, it wouldn't have been an issue, but
Yeah,
it's totally different for me because it's a relationship and it's my first significant one out of this divorce. So,
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine there was seeking love because that's what made it so high. Like, is this feeling that you melted with her, like you were totally at home with her, and
Yeah.
that's really beautiful. But it is an illusion. You can have that. You can really feel at home and melt with someone, but it's not. It's not just secluded to them. Like, when you're by
Right.
yourself, you also have this felt feeling of melting with what is. It might be intensified with being with them, but you don't need them in order to do that. So what happens when you fall in love is that it produces so much pleasure. It often produces, like, you feel validated, you feel like you connected with someone, you don't feel alone anymore, you feel appreciated. It's all the juicy things when you first fall in love. Like, it's like everything wonderful. It's sexual, like sexual desire can be
Yeah.
satisfied.
Yeah.
um and it can be really healing. Like, if you've come from a difficult relationship in the past, it can be really healing being with someone else that sees things differently and has different perspectives. So it's in the beginning of falling in love, it's so super juicy. And then um what happens in that juice and in that beauty, so when you feel like somebody really sees you or understands you, you momentarily stop seeking. You feel completely content to be where you are. You don't feel like you're waiting to be in another place, that you're waiting for the next thing to happen. You just feel happy to be where you are. Like, you feel contented to be where you are. So seeking stops, and then you have a taste of home. And the mind thinks that the taste of home is them, but actually the taste of home is the fact that they've satisfied particular elements in you, and you actually fully drop into being yourself. Or not fully, but there's a part of you that drops in or tastes yourself and tastes that contentment of who you are. And that happens with everything. So if somebody's super successful suddenly, it can happen with that. It doesn't have to be love. But there's so many good things you get when you're falling in love. What can happen with some people, and because you've been in a long relationship, this might be something that you're tempted into, is that you keep repeating the falling in love part because it's so addictive. So I meet a lot of people that do that. They say that in loveness normally lasts somewhere between 6 months to 3 years. And then after the 3 years, if people make it past the 3 years, then it's more of a stable relationship. It's like you actually get on, you actually work well together, and then you don't have such intense in loveness, but you have more stability and growth and naturalness together. And it doesn't mean that being in love completely goes, it just fades. It's normally really intense for the first 6 months to 3 years. And often people just stay on very short relationships just to experience being in love again and again and again. Hello?
Yeah. Well, my intention was certainly not to do that. I mean, I was wanting just to be in relationship, and we did so many things
Yeah,
relationship wise well together that I just, I pictured it as really nice going into the future. But I certainly don't want to do all the work involved in falling in love, that
yeah,
I I think I have a little more realistic view. I don't know, that's my perception, but
yeah,
I thought because I mean, for me, the common ground was there was a spiritual approach. There was doing like tasks, like the household stuff well together, um, and just intent as far as like being a person and being employed and getting stuff done, and just those things,
yeah,
helping others, all that stuff. So I think it was a fairly good realistic viewpoint, but who knows? I mean,
yeah.
you know,
I think it's really beautiful
crazy.
to really commit to someone, but there's something in you that like energetically knew what it was getting into. We think that we're a lot more unconscious than we are, and we are on the surface level unconscious, but our body is up to something. Like, our body knows what it's doing. So there was some part of you that was attracted to this backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. Otherwise, you wouldn't have stayed in it. You know, you said she was in it and then she wasn't, and then she was in it and then she wasn't. There was
So
something that an energy that attracted you towards that, and somebody that's like that is more than likely not going to be reliable for the future.
okay, yeah,
I have a
yeah,
friend that I've known since I was a teenager, and she's always trying to get away from everybody. Like that's her energy. She's always trying to escape everybody and get away from everybody, but she never does it. Like, but her energy always wants to do it. So what it makes or what it produces is like a very uncommitted person, even though she is
okay,
committed. Like I've been friends with her for like 25 years, and oh, not 25 years, 20 years. And if I called her, she would she would always be there to help, but she always has that. And I can see, you know, like if a guy is attracted towards her, they must be attracted towards that energy too. Like at first, like we play naive, but there is something undercurrent that's happening. Like our bodies are always playing out our karma in a way.
yeah.
Like
See, my perception of that was because I saw it early on. My perception of that was because she's done seeking and work and life coach and all that. So I figured, eventually that will calm down, hoping that, I guess, but kind of foreseeing that because I knew that she wasn't this person that was just going to sit back in a specific personality, and maybe there is something in me that likes that. That's interesting you say that.
yeah,
I never thought of it that
yeah.
way.
And I can
But
so with the smoking thing,
yeah,
um, was there other things? So I can imagine why she had a big reaction to that, because to her, she'll think that you've lied to her, and if you've lied to her about that, then you could have lied to her about anything.
okay, probably, and that's kind of where she went with it. And then so the initial meeting, we met on a dating site, and I was posted as divorced, and then we started dating, and then about 4 days into it, I was like, "Hey, we need to talk," and I told her. So I wasn't like, so there was that. But I did try to clean it up like right away. And then I am pretty honest, so my actions kind of from then till the end were very honest and deeply honest actually. So, but she comes from a big time lack of trust. So, and she told me that. She told me that when she initially got married, they did a screening and she came up as not trusting very well whatsoever, and whoever was doing the analysis said, whoa. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, so very non-trusting, and yeah. Yeah, she just, and that's what other people said. It was just like a big gigantic, like almost violent reaction, like a
yeah.
very judgmental stance on it. Yeah, yeah.
And so so you told her you stopped smoking.
I never told her that yeah, actually, yeah, I did. And then about 2 weeks prior to that, she smelled it on me and I think probably tasted it and questioned it. And I said no. And then this time, and she was irate. And, and then she was like, well, and then she was pissed and she's like, well, what do you want? And I said, I just want to be able to make this better. And then she just shut it down. I took my stuff, I was out, and then she wouldn't communicate. So
Yeah,
I miss her a lot, and I still see a lot of, but so I'm kind of up in the air. Do I continue to pursue it? Do I let it go? I don't know. Within me says it's constant within me, go after it. I don't know. I'm really like clueless as to
yeah,
let it go, learn from it.
yeah. Yeah, it's unknown. Like when someone cuts you off, you have to wait for them to really come to you. Like
Yeah,
it's not really much you can do.
yeah. I did write a letter, and I think I'll, leave it. for her at her place. But the thing is, I thought it was real judgmental on her part. Well, she actually cheated on her ex, and I mean, there's all kinds of judgment and there's all kinds of withholding. So I was withholding, but there's all kinds of withholding that's still causing a lot of damage in her life, and that was part of my point in my letter. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe you're right. Maybe she's never capable. Maybe she's always going to be back and forth between these two extremes and
Yeah.
not really capable. I don't know.
And
I don't
I
know.
would just be like clear in yourself, like, um, like I wouldn't, like when you argue, I wouldn't mess things together. So I wouldn't, not that I'm an expert, like I can get into arguments as well, because it's very
Yeah,
complicated. So what it's made you feel is you made you feel judged, but I wouldn't put that with what she's done in the past, because what's actually happened is you have sinned, like not
yeah,
ultimately, like
yeah,
like not on the ultimate scale. On the ultimate scale, you're totally free and you're perfect, and it couldn't have been any other way. But on the human level, you told a not truth and you got caught,
yeah,
and all of us do it. Like it's not meaning
yeah.
to be judgmental, but that's you know that's that, and you just stand in that and you take responsibility for that. And
Sure.
the other stuff you need to deal with, I would say, separately. Like so her being um, like overly judgmental about this, like that, I wouldn't clump it together. So it's like you've got to stand in the fact that you did tell a lie and you got caught out, and and
And just own that
and just
and
own that, and then look at the other stuff. Um, like I wouldn't go in writing a letter. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to do what you want to do, and if that feels right, but just break it up. Like I wouldn't use in any way her being judgmental as an excuse for anything. Like that's her side of seeing things. Like she's
and
having
I don't
her
want
response.
yeah, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but I was trying to make a comparison in where she's at, and it's probably keeping her stuck,
Yeah, but
you
that
know,
yeah
not to go ahead.
yeah that's difficult because that's the sort of thing that leads to very complex arguments, because that's a big
Yeah,
thing about what she's done in the past.
yeah. Yeah, part of the purpose of stating it was it's because it's still creating problems in her life, and she hasn't actually shared it with her son. So and maybe you're right about that.
I think
It's
it's a
causing
separate.
damage.
I think it's separate, and I think you should bring.
Separate.
Yeah, I think you should bring that up with her another time.
Okay.
Like not with this subject.
Okay.
I think
Gotcha.
acknowledge that you feel judged. Acknowledge that you feel that, and you could
Okay.
say, "I feel very judged," but I wouldn't.
Uh-huh.
That's what we often do when we have conflict with people. It's like like
Yeah.
there's one problem in hand, so there's one issue in hand, and then we bring up past problems. And
Right.
I would agree that she's got to deal with that, but I wouldn't bring it up with this situation. Like that's a
Okay.
separate
I
thing.
yeah. I don't want to go away from owning this because
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make excuses or that it didn't happen or yeah, but I appreciate and respect what you're saying. Yeah,
Just because
probably so.
it makes it all so complicated, and intermeshed. I would
Yeah.
bring that up with her, when you're both in a good place, and just say, would you
Right.
like to look at this with me? And do you want to have a
Yeah.
conversation with it? It will get so
Uh,
messy if you start bringing that up at this point in time.
yeah, that makes sense.
Not, I mean,
I
like,
think
not that I'm perfect, like I get things wrong, but I always think
no.
if you're gonna like have a disagreement about something, stay on that one subject and then bring up the other stuff another time. Like it's so
Right.
easy that like suddenly like all these things from the past come up or this comes up, and then it makes things so complicated.
Yeah. And I'm generally not a person that's going to go there and get into like, well, you did that, you did that, you did, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
I can take responsibility for what I did, and
Yeah, and
that's what
and
I
it
did.
most probably is connected. I wouldn't deny that it isn't. Emotionally is connected.
Yeah,
Like if you lie
yeah,
and cheat you in the past, then that's going to make you really suspicious of other people. I remember I once worked for somebody who had stolen in the past, and she was like a spiritual person and really open, and she used to get paranoid that people would steal from her because of what she did in the past, and she saw that as her karma, and she was really open about it, and we talked and we reflected on this. Like it is karma. It's part of the karma of when you lie or cheat on a partner, then you're always going to expect the person to be doing it on you. So there's always going to be, I mean, what you do to others is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. So if you're cheating on someone, then it's already showing that you've got lack of trust in yourself and in others. But
yeah,
it's something that I would bring up at a different time, because at the moment it's about this one subject that, and then you can help and support her in the other subject when that subject's settled down. It's so
yeah,
complicated
yeah,
interacting with people,
yeah.
and I know,
That's
like and I'm not claiming, I can get into arguments with people. It's difficult not to, because it's complex sometimes. Somebody does something and then you try and bring it up, and then they mention something else, and then you're excusing yourself for something else, and then you get distracted, and then you come back, and then emotions are playing. It is complex, human interaction.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your insight into it.
And also just take that as like my opinion. Like also you've got to go with your heart, and if your heart feels like doing it, and if you get into complex stuff or it's really simple, it's exactly as it's meant to be in the end.
Well, and if she's mature and reasonable, she'll see that she's judging harshly. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think just keep it in. This is what I did. I know that I'm wrong, and I'm sorry, and I
Yeah.
think that's best. Yeah.
And you might find that she comes round by herself. You might find, give her space and she comes round, or you like, and then you can open things up for discussion. Like it's only 8 days.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think about flowers? Wait, do it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay.
I've got an opinion about. I'm sure you've got lots of people's opinion. I've got opinion about bringing up other stuff, but the flowers, I don't know.
So as far as sending them, just maybe wait on it.
I just feel that in your heart. Like just try and be really genuine with it. Like
Okay.
that it's not about getting her
Gotcha.
back. That it's like
Oh,
a
okay.
really genuine feeling. Like you're doing it out of love and expansion. So it's not about trying to convince her to come back with you. It's like about a commitment to your relationship and that love and that groundedness in it.
Okay. Sounds good. How you been doing?
Yes, I'm doing very well. Yeah.
Good.
I've
You
been
blissed
writing.
out?
Am I still blissed out? Yeah, I still feel quite blissed out. But I've managed to keep a conversation quite well, haven't I? It's terrible. Like it's like sometimes you get blissed out. It is like being drunk, and then because I've got quite severe dyslexia, my dyslexia just comes out, and you start saying sentences all back to front to people, and then I can't remember always if I've said things or not. So sometimes I think I'm repeating myself.
Yeah. Oh man. So I had my endorsement as a reading specialist, but they don't teach you how to work with someone with dyslexia, and I don't know if there's, what you do.
Oh yeah, there is specific ways in which to teach dyslexics, but I've forgotten now because that's the way my brain works. Like I do know how you do it. So when I was at school, I had to learn to read and write, and I can't remember the formula, but the way was that I saw a picture, and then no, I saw a word and a picture. So on one side of the card I had a picture, and on one side I had a word. And like sometimes they would show me the picture and then I said the word, and sometimes they'd show me the word and then I saw the picture. And we played games with this, and this was like the way they taught me to read eventually. Like it was terrible in the beginning when
Must
they
have been.
tried to teach me read, but these cards used to work quite well. And so it's something about I've forgotten. I can't believe that I've forgotten how you teach a dyslexic to read and do things. but it's about
Huh.
a specific area of the brain, and you can't do it. So, what's the traditional way in which you teach to read? It's look and learn. Or what is it that they teach it? Is that you look and you,
Well, there's different ways. There's like whole language where and then there's phonetic approach where you're using strong phonics. So,
I
and
think dyslexics more for non for, phonetics.
yeah,
I can't remember though.
yeah. So phonetics is just the sounds that go
Yeah,
with the letters, and then eventually being able to sound words and then seeing them after. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think phonetic is a strong way in which they do it. So on the back of the card, they used to separate all the letters like together to make sounds, and then they'd, I
Uh-huh.
think, have the phonetic writing underneath of it. So
Oh,
what it
okay.
actually was, and then the phonetic. So you would like actually have what it sounds like written out. I think that was what they used to
Huh.
do. But there is a
Yeah,
really specific way in which you do it.
I imagine there is. Yeah, because it was never taught to me.
Yeah,
I don't have a clue.
yeah. And I'm a dyslexic, and I was taught that way, and I don't have a clue. But that's part of the way my brain works. I forget everything.
uh,
Nice. Well, it was lovely speaking to you. Good luck with your relationship. I hope that pans out and that you get what you want from the
okay.
situation.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that you're doing well and blissfully drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So I was looking to sign up for a session, but it looks like you're all the way into January,
I
maybe.
know, I know. It's gone crazy. I don't know why. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened. It just, it suddenly, like one night I went to sleep, and then when I woke up, there were like 20 bookings, and then it just went on like that for a week. And then suddenly, but I sometimes think that like life works energetically so perfectly. So for the next couple of months, I've got, in France, we have all our tax bills to pay. And last year I overspent my money because I renovated my house, and I would have made it. But it's almost like just prior to the tax bills coming, I suddenly got all these bookings all the way to January, and now I've got more and extra to pay, for my tax. I mean, it was a little tight because I overspent last year, but I would have done it anyway. But now it's like it booked up all the way till December, all the way till January, and suddenly I got 3 or 2 months of money, and now it's like everything is all organized. I think that life works really magically sometimes. I always feel like that with money, like it always um,
Yeah.
works out perfectly. Like you don't push it. Like I never advertise or push the sessions. Like it just, and I don't
Right.
try and encourage people to rebook or anything. I always say, or I try to encourage people, not all the time, but most of the time, to feel what what's best for them. And I think it just works out perfectly. Life, like you just sit back and then it works. It's
Yeah, what a
funny.
concept. Sitting
Yeah,
back and knowing that's gonna
yeah,
work out.
yeah,
Even though you get evidence of it all the time, right?
yeah. Yeah, it's really funny in France, and like it's all different in all different countries. But you get the big bills in like September, October, November, December. Really, actually, those 4 months they kind of spread it out, and then it's suddenly like poof, poof, when it's heavily taxed in France, so it's big.
Ah,
Yeah,
oh well.
but it was my fault. I spent all my money last year.
Oh well. Well, that's cool. You got your place fixed up.
Yeah,
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 cool. All right.
nice.
Huh. Well, maybe we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of love to you.
Oh, you too. Thank you very much.
Bye, sweetie.
Have a great night.
Thanks.